If you are a landlord, do not make this mistake, okay? I understand landlords want as much money for their rental as possible. I'm a landlord, I have rental properties. Of course, more rental income is more money for me. But think about the nightmare scenarios, which piss me off to even hear because they're so rare if you're doing what you should do correctly. But the nightmare scenarios of a tenant not paying, or a fire happening, or whatever people fear people talk about with being a landlord. Now, all that I guess is always possible, just like it's possible I fall in this chair right now or have a heart attack. Yes, that can all happen. But is it likely? No. However, in landlording, it can be likely if you don't really know what you're doing. So, as a realtor, I represent many, many landlords for years. I had like 7 rental listings this month, so that's the type of volume I do for rental listings. All right, so I'm representing the landlord in all of these, and I have my own properties. I have never had, not even once, been responsible for putting a tenant in a home that hasn't paid rent or that has had any sort of controllable negative responses. I think in a condo once there was a complaint about walking, like the people walking above there, like stuff like that. I don't know. I can't control that, but never have I ever had rented a place to someone who wasn't paying the rent or who had to be evicted or even come close to that. Why is that? Okay, so for one, I'm in North Jersey and I'm a realtor here. The tenant pays the commission. Okay, that's just one thing to know. If you're a landlord, like if you're not using a realtor that knows what you're doing and has properties themselves, like I'm literally free. So why wouldn't you? And yeah, so that's one thing, but that's separate. So a lot of times I have these conversations with landlords. Let's say for this scenario, their market rent, the value of their home's rent is $3,000. And I present to them the facts that $3,000 is probably what your home is worth in rent. Now, we can run two scenarios here, landlord. Ready? Option A, we can rent for 3,100. We can list it for 3,100. Now, we're always going to have professional photos. We're always going to put it on all the Zillow funnels, the Realtor.com, the MLS, and have everything automatic the way, and a video walkthrough, which is another sort of thing that I think some realtors don't do. We got to do that. So we're going to do the whole 9 yards. All right, 3,100, try to set a new record, get more money in your pocket. Awesome. That's option A. Option B is 2,900. Okay. Obviously, this is $200 more. That would be more preferable for the landlord. Now, let's talk about the potential consequences of A and B. Okay, so A, 3,100. Here's a potential consequence. It's listed too high, which means potentially increased vacancy, which means no money for you in those weeks or month plus, right? So that wouldn't be good. This is all a math equation when you're a landlord, and that goes against all the math you want it to go. The other I guess con for 3,100 is we're gonna have less people through that door, right? So if there's gonna be less views, right? The higher the price is, the less views there's gonna be, less people are interested, less people walking through the door. That means less applications. That means less of a pool of renters. And is that what you want as a landlord? Because what happens if one person applies, and that's awesome, you got one person to apply, but as soon as I call their references, which you must always do, I call their past landlord, I ask them 30 questions about them. What if that doesn't come back clean? Or what if their credit score is 500 or their employer didn't answer when I tried to get verifications of their income? Those are all red flags to me. So, because we only have one applicant, what happens if that happens? Then you're in a tight situation. Do you accept it because you don't want the vacancy and you want all that money? And you have potentially a concern here that it's, a red flag tenant? Or do you keep saying no, and then you're just keeping, you're just going to have days on market vacancy, eating your own mortgage, etc. Okay, those are my points for option A. Let's look at option B, 2,900. And again, we know that the market rent is 3,000, right? At 2,900, we're going to get a lot of people through that door. Well, I should start with a lot of views online, a lot of people through that door, multiple applications. And when there's multiple applications, that means we, landlord, now controls the terms. How important is it to control the terms here? So, one, we're getting a qualified tenant, all right? Because there's going to be multiple applications, so we're going to have our pick of who your tenant is. And more than likely, this tenant who you're picking is going to be qualified and stay there for multiple years, so you don't have an overpaying tenant. A tenant realizes in month 6 they're overpaying, doesn't want to renew their lease, and we're back here, another vacancy, in 6 months. So this tenant is someone we have chosen because we had the choice, which is tremendous. And we now control the terms further, like terms of the lease. So because there's multiple applications, maybe we could say, hey, actually $3,000 or $2,950. Or we could say, how about a 2-year lease with a 5% built-in increase after year 1? Or how about, okay, since I had 6 applications, I will accept you if you're also cutting the lawn and covering the sewer bill. Like, I know that a lot of people don't think that way when it comes to terms of a lease, but that's because a lot of people don't have 6 applications. So my goal as a realtor, and it should be as a landlord, is to get as many people through the door and have qualified applications, which we can then vet out, call their references, check their income and credit and all that, and make sure that they're solid renters for an extended period of time. Now, all these nightmare scenarios that could happen, sure, I get it, they could happen. But tell me, in option B, would that happen? Probably not. Option A, potentially. And in New Jersey, it's obviously it's a fact that it's not a landlord friendly state, which basically just means like evictions still happen. I know of plenty of investors that have gone through that. They just take longer, and it's just a little harder, more difficult of a process. It's something we should never have to go through. It's sad for everyone, and it just sucks. And these tenants now who got evicted, I don't know where they go and how they're going to be able to qualify for anything the rest of their life with an eviction on their record. But it should be, the E word shouldn't even be discussed if you're listing your rental correctly, which unfortunately doesn't happen all the time. And we spend so much time running analysis on, for the purchase as an investor, right? You're running year 1 numbers on calculators. You're looking at year 5, cash on cash return and maintenance per year and capex and all those metrics. But to skimp out on the quality of tenant you're getting to make a couple 100 or 200 extra dollars a month on a multi-$1,000 asset, it's 500K plus asset, and you're going to worry about $100 a month. That is not a smart financial decision, in my opinion. And lastly here, like I have a couple rental properties, and I know that they cash flow, but whether or not, rental property A is cash flowing $400 a month or $500 a month, I don't know, and I don't care. And I don't mean that like money doesn't mean anything. Of course it does. It's in business, and it does. But like whether or not it's cash flowing 400 or 500 a month, my life isn't different. Like I'm not $100 a month. I would love that, but it's not like affecting what I'm eating for dinner tonight. I do know that if I was going through a crazy eviction process as a landlord, that would probably affect a lot of things in my life. So for $100, $200 extra a month, really think about that before you want that.